All right, Mal, start us off on this one.
So, a Dex, a decentralized exchange, or better known as a Dex, peer-to-peer marketplace where transactions occur directly between crypto traders. Thought we get a bit of official spiel in there. So basically, as far as I understand it, you're allowed to keep your private keys and you're kind of still in control of your crypto while providing liquidity or actually just swapping coin to coin, bit like a Uniswap. Well, Uniswap's of course a decentralized one, but anyway, so that's one of them. And then there are swaps as well. So you have, I'm not the most versed on Pancake Swap. I won't use it since the whole MetaMask incident. I think they dropped the ball on that one and deserve to basic. Well, in my, I'm quite like that. If you drop the ball like that on something, then I really think that you shouldn't be in the space, because a lot of people probably had their money stolen because of that. But anyway, I could be horribly wrong. But I did learn today, which I want to talk about, is the Shiba token and the fact that it's actually bit more than a meme coin, which I learned today. And they're trying to basically do a vampire dex, or perform a vampire attack. Sorry, which is where they convince everyone to move their liquidity from Uniswap, Pancake Swap, probably Banana Swap, probably 15 other swaps. So they're trying to move everyone into their swap basically, and they're doing sort of like a Dex feature. It was all, I didn't have very long to learn all this, but with them all being ERC20 tokens, apparently it allows for them to do a lot more. So we can do another show on specifics about Dexes and the technicalities and stuff. But what I want to get to is basically the idea of decentralized exchanges becoming possibly overtaking a central exchange other than fiat on and off ramps. Or we could even eventually see fiat in these things. But they have the typical system. So they're going to have three coins as far as I understand it. They're going to have SHIB, which will be is the ticker. Then there's going to be Leash, which is another coin which only has 107,000 in existence. So I think that's something like a $3,000 coin already. So you earn from that, and then there's another one called Bone. Basically, all those two last ones are staked for each other, and you earn these various things. But this is where I got to on another show, where I said I feel like there's just so many pointless coins, and that's where I am with SHIB anyway. I feel like we're not saying these are pointless, by the way, just how when one thing appears, it sort of doesn't just have one coin. You need that coin and you need to stake that one for this benefit. So I think what we were speaking about before really ties into these type of swaps and dexes, if anyone wants to add to that.
Oh, absolutely. There is quite a few. It started with Uniswap and moved into 1inch, and there's a ton of them out there now. Like you mentioned, one of the ones I love is ThorSwap. I've been following that since it came out. They had the technology when they put out on the Binance chain. It was called BepSwap, and they improved the technology and got to the point now where this Dex has evolved. You don't have to wrap Bitcoin, Ether, or any of these other ones that they're putting on the platform. You can go directly into native Bitcoin now. So they're making leaps and bounds with all of the various dexes, and I think dexes are highly underutilized. A lot of them relied on the ETH network, so you had to pay gas fees. And at one point, not too long ago, Uniswap, you'd want to buy $100 worth of a token. The gas fee would be $122 just to buy the token. BepSwap and ThorSwap, and I think I haven't looked at ShibSwap in a while. like we were talking about. I saw the project start, but I did not keep up with it. If I believe when I looked into them, they were doing kind of the same thing. They're using the staked assets of leash and bone to help reduce even the fees that you pay. And originally, I think they were going to have a lot of those dog-based meme coins on there. I read Shib and Akita, and a lot of those are eventually going to be in there. I've used them a lot more recently than I have in the past, and I'm finding not only is it a lot easier, it's a lot quicker, but it's even becoming very cost effective to do so. The exchanges have small fees, $2.99 on a buy fee plus maker taker on some of this stuff, but overall it's not horrible. But there's competition from these dexes now. Their fees are at a reasonable level, and it adds another dimension to where you can either stake your tokens or even provide liquidity, which can be risky, but it can also earn some fantastic yield if you have idle tokens sitting around.
Yeah, see, I actually kind of liked what I heard about Chib because they were going for like the low fees plus a lot more incentives to be on their swap, whereas the other ones I feel like are just sort of jumping in and not providing a very decentralized exchange, if that makes sense. Like there's always some sort of point where there's, I don't know, maybe I'm a bit skeptical, but I feel like we're at, as you said, the Dexs now are much nicer, they're much cleaner, they're much better, I think, now, and very much worth everyone's attention. Like I'd never even heard of 4swap and the other swap that you said, so there were like two more that just pops up. There's that many of them. But I do feel like they're going to be vital for a lot of people in the space, especially in countries that restrict what you do with your crypto. Because I do think we're going to see that in some areas of the world, definitely. So I think Dexs are going to be playing an important role of keeping exchanges honest as well. I don't know whether I'm a bit crazy for thinking that, but if there's a really, really good decentralized exchange that mutes the fees, has great staking and yield option, as well as a great DEX built into it, I think that can really cause a lot of if you basically mess your exchange up, or you start doing it, well, you broke our rule, we're not going to define it, but you broke it. I think if things like that continue to be a thing or a worry for people, then dexes and swaps are very good for that. It's just when you want to get into the staking side, I would beg people to do their research, because I was getting confused and I understood the information I was receiving mostly, but when it's like this coin for that coin and that coin generates this coin, you end up with this whole flow chart and you're just trying to figure out which coin are you staking to get yield and why. So I would definitely check them out. I think they're brilliant. I think they're going to be vital, but there's so many, so pick the one that's right for you. And I'm liking Shib because of the new features it's apparently bringing. It's not live yet, the swap, and I do want to mention as well, in case anyone's listening, there is already a bone coin or token that's already out. I think it's worth about 3 cents. It's different. It's not the same one. I hate it when they used to say, no, it's not the same one. I hate it when people make a coin and just go for like a very similar name as someone else. It's so annoying. But yeah, so like, don't go rushing to buy bone token because it's not even out yet. You can't buy the actual bone token they're using. There's another bone out there.
I love the aspect of dexes, and like I said, I've gotten into it a lot more lately than I have in the past. And when you talk about the security aspect of it, a lot of times these are browser based. I've found almost all the ones I've used are browser based instead of something that you have like an exchange where it's connected to your bank account and you're stuck with whatever they want to give you. The MetaMask and some of these other brand new browser based wallets, they're hot wallets, which aren't exactly the safest things on the planet either. But to me, it's still better than having money on an exchange because you have a little bit more control of the assets in there. And, not to sound like that guy or get myself in a bunch or CFA in a bunch of questions, but I do like the aspect that you can buy it without tracing. You can swap whatever you want to swap when you want to swap it, and you don't feel like you have these tracers that people can just get data on you for whatever it is you're buying. I mean, I'm not naive. I know there's got to be some kind of mechanism that these dexes are going to pull for their own data, but it's my business to transact however I want to transact without prying eyes, which makes it another really, really attractive side of it to me.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most important parts. And as I say, I think that's what will keep exchanges honest, a centralized exchange. If it's very, very clear that there are amazing dexes out there that pretty much do everything an exchange does except for a fiat on an off ramp, well, then I've got a slight feeling that eventually there'll be enough capital where they can even include peer to peer for fiat. And that's when the game changes then. I don't know how that works with bank accounts, though. I couldn't even pretend to have a guess how that would work, but I could see digitalized versions of, say, the dollar or whatever being in these dexes that are just easily swapped for $1 of actual fiat. And I think that will push exchanges to be better, offer more, and be more honest.
I agree with you 100%. I think that's coming pretty quick. As fast as this space is moving, and as fast as these dexes have adapted and grown and built themselves up with the new wallets that are coming out, I just downloaded, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, the Lightning Network and Strike. At that Bitcoin conference, was it 2 weeks ago? Jack Mallers had brought up the Strike Network with working with El Salvador when they made it legal currency. And so yesterday I downloaded the Strike app, and it kind of threw me because they profess that it's, your coins, your business. We want to make this absolutely as free as possible from centralization. Instantly, I was KYC'd. And the network was not meant, at least from what they were saying, to have it that tight. So I see the technology moving in that direction. I see that these new wallets and these new layers and these new MetaMask type wallets are going to evolve. But when that happens, depending on where they are and whether or not you're running a VPN, I think, you're still going to bump into a lot of these issues. And if you definitely go to a fiat, whether it's GBP, the euro, or the USD, I think that's where you're going to end up having the most eyes prying on your activity. And I understand the why behind the why on that, but at the same time, crypto was designed, especially Bitcoin, which was the first major one that everybody knew about. It was specifically designed to work opposite of that. So the struggle is real, it seems, with people trying to accomplish the goal of getting that token and that coin out of that mix, while at the same time having to deal with the laws of the places where people live.
Yeah, I really do think it just comes back down to regulation, I suppose, of each individual country. Because after all, it's the citizens that are going to be using it, and I've got a feeling governments will eventually be. No, I'm not going to use the word bullish, but I think it'd be foolish of them to not use the large sums of taxpayers' money they do have sitting around to buy things that they can have people watch and know they're going to appreciate. And I think, Why wouldn't someone who has billions want to put it in something that interests better than a bank? And these type of decentralized exchanges kind of offer a government a bit of safety as well, because they're not relying on some random company that they could just steal a load of taxpayers' money. It's sort of a peer-to-peer trading system anyway. So I feel like you could see large entities finding this more for them than a centralized exchange. I don't know what you both think on that one, but I could see if you've got a couple of billion and you can get that into crypto, because I think in a couple of years buying a couple of billion crypto is not going to be as much of a market mover as it would now, especially. So, do you feel like government entities might prefer a DEX themselves to start earning on whatever assets they have that are in crypto?
Well, the beauty is they can change that at any point. And look, I'm not saying it should be avoided or anything like that. I understand taxes. I don't mind paying a fair share of taxes. I don't mind any of that stuff. What I don't want is the tracking, the restrictions, all the negative sides of those. I think that we should be free to use whatever asset, whether it's a coin, a token, a piece of paper, a physical coin, or as Faz always loves to talk about, his reference to Star Wars figures. If I want to be able to go and trade my Star Wars figures or my Bitcoin or whatever for whatever product or service that I want, I shouldn't have to have that reported or gone through 20 middlemen in order for that to happen, adding fees all the way along. I understand people have to make money. I understand that economies need to run. But at the same time, you have to be able to draw a line somewhere.
Well, for me, like I look at the UK, so I think they wouldn't make crypto a form of currency for the pure reason of capital gains tax. So if they made it a currency, people aren't being taxed capital gains anymore, and we could then wrap our crypto in all sorts of ISAs, which would avoid even more tax. So I think tax is going to play a big role in why they KYC, you see, uh, and the AML aspects of it as well, anti-money laundering comes into play. The problem will be if they start trying to make all crypto a form of security, which obviously that would be nuts to think of. But if they go too strict and start being really sort of, well, we have to do, how we were saying earlier that governments don't ever really do anything to benefit the people, they just make it spin it. So it's like, hey, look what we've done for you, but really it saves them some other problem or makes them money somewhere down the line. I think that's where we're at. I know in the UK that they're probably never going to make it currency, not for a long time anyway. It'll always be an asset because they get to tax you extra on it then. So I've got a feeling tax comes into a massive play when they're going to consider the reasons for KYC, and it'll purely because, well, we need to know who's avoiding tax. That will be their answer, I think, always.
Yeah, I do. I get it. The KYC and the AML, I understand the basic premise behind it, and absolutely. But here's the thing. Whether it's, again, the US dollar, the GBP, the EUR, any of those forms of money, it's going to happen. All right. And most of the nefarious things that people do are on that side of cash. They've proven that already with the research that they've done. It's going to happen. They don't have to take the extra steps that they're taking and making it ridiculous. And I think they're just making it more difficult so that people won't use it. When you look at the overall dynamic of money in general, money is control. Just like religion is control, and a lot of other things are control. These things are put in place to try and keep the masses. I mean, you have what are we up to? 7 billion people on this planet. You have to have some semblance, and you have to try and keep people in line somehow. I just think that how heavy that hand is where you have to be careful.
I think that comes down to individual country, and then a lot of companies as well might be doing KYC to cover themselves, because if they do it before there's regulation, at least when regulation comes, they're just going to be like, well, yeah, we know all our customers. Yeah, we've been doing all this, and yeah, we're not facilitating anything like that. And they've sort of got the proof there. But I agree with you. I'm not for it at all. I think in certain aspects there will have to be KYC, just because it would make no sense not to have it for the company, because they probably wouldn't be able to operate if they didn't ask for it. But as you say, I think they're maybe going a little bit too far on why they think they need KYC on everything, which is why, again, back to Dexs, I think they're going to be so popular because most people are going to sort of want to get, if you can do most of your trading on a Dex and then you sort of just cash out through exchanges, you're sort of choosing what exchange can see then, because like Coinbase, for example, the British government asked for every single person's information who'd had or ever had more than £5,000 on Coinbase. And Coinbase said, "Yeah, there you go," and just handed that right over, no questions asked. Why are they going to do that? Because they want to keep all the profit that they make and never have any problem with the government. So, how many people, like when I found that out, I was like, wow, I didn't know that. I found that to be a bit like, whew. So my name's sat on a list somewhere now, and they're looking at that probably. Are they going to start, like, they're going to use, I know for a fact they're going to use that to start contacting people like, hey, we know that's the control side of it, I think, that you were getting to. So I know other exchanges are probably more than happy to hand over your information if you verify as well. So yeah, I've got a lot of love for Bitrue because, I think it's got like a 2 Bitcoin withdrawal limit if you've done like no KYC. I've earned and flipped and made solid gains on Bitrue, and you've never once asked me for ID, which is great. Or if I ever want to make that money spendable on certain assets outside of the crypto space, it has to become fiat. Now, what does this mean for 5 years, though, when a lot of companies are willing to take crypto? How often are you going to ever need to be in fiat and go through your bank and use things that have KYC?
I totally agree. I forget who said it, but there was an awesome quote that I keep in my head. And they said, hodl your Bitcoin until you don't have to. So yeah, there'll be that point where, you have these people and or businesses which may be able to just take the Bitcoin, and there is no KYC there. And I like the angle that you took on that, where, hey, I can keep my assets in my ledger, and I can send it out to that on ramp or off ramp at Coinbase, and that's all they know. They know that I sent them 3 Litecoin, and I got X amount of dollars for them, but they don't know the rest. And I think that's a great way to approach it as well. Anything else anybody has that they can throw in as we get ready to wrap up here?
I would just like to say there are these things that exist now. So Bitfill, you can go and buy a $3,000 Amazon voucher. It takes about 5 minutes for the confirmation to go through. You pay with USDT. Don't recommend it because the fees are nuts. There's other coins, I think ADA as well, but you can go and buy Booking.com. You can go and buy a $2,000 holiday voucher. I even read that you could buy multiple $2,000 vouchers and combine them into one. So you could quite literally now use your crypto to travel the world without it ever being fiat. You can buy a bunch of stuff off Amazon with your crypto, and it just pops up as fiat on the account, the same way as uploading a gift voucher. So there are already these ways. Now, I would never recommend people try and hide how much they've got from the government for tax things. I would just learn when the tax laws apply to yourself, because you don't want to get caught and then try and think, well, why do we not know you've got this X amount sat on this ledger? I wouldn't just go and declare it, but I would always be paying attention in case there's ever a position where, you might find yourself, oh, I feel a bit awkward now because I've kind of said I don't have this much or don't really have any crypto because you've figured out a way to fund your lifestyle via crypto. I would definitely recommend, just to be clear on the show, being honest as much as you are legally supposed to be, is what I want to say.
Oh, absolutely. And I brought that point up. I'm not against it. You've got to do what you've got to do. But again, when it's sitting somewhere, uh, you're responsible for reporting, and you should be reporting what it is that you're liable for. But having them know all of my holdings just because when there's no reason to have a tax liability for it yet, that's none of their business.
Yeah, I
When I
agree.
do something with it and there's a capital gain or there's an income there, absolutely, and I do report it. But yeah, it's none of their business what I'm holding in the meantime that isn't subject to taxes. All right, that's awesome. Hey, Faz, you want to take us out of here today?
Sure. That was a good conversation. It was good to hear you guys talk.
Righto. As always, I absolutely love Saturdays talking to you two gentlemen. We could go on and record probably 30 of these every Saturday. And I'm really glad that we're all to a point where we're talking about some really interesting topics and going deep on a lot of things. I'm really glad for the patron area on CFA because we're able to get some of the best conversations, the outtakes and the green room and everything over there. That's where some of our best conversations have happened. And I look forward to our next conversation.
Welcome back from holiday, Titan. It's nice to have you back again. And if anyone's not aware of the Faz Discord, I would certainly get the link that's going to be in the description. Faz will make sure and join. Do some amazing conversations, and we can probably do this 10 times a day because we all love talking about crypto. So if anyone has a topic and does listen to the show, please feel free to DM me, Titan, or Faz, and let us know a topic that you'd like us to discuss.
Absolutely, and always open for guests too. So if you have something you want to talk about, reach out to one of us with a topic that you love and want to spread the news on, and we're more than happy to have you on as a guest.